Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. Okay, I wanted to go into a lesson on this article. Now, earlier today, when I first seen it, it said that it was about 80 children reportedly killed in the school bombing, and this comes from the strikes that was carried out by the U.S. and Israel. But it's been updated since I last looked at it, and now it's at 100. It's at more than 100. The most bitter news: Iran reels as more than 100 children reportedly killed in school bombing. It says an image taken from Iranian state television broadcast on today, 28th February, showing what it says is the site of U.S. and Israeli strikes that hit a girls' elementary school in Minab, southern Iran. It says Iran's parents has dropped their children off of class on Saturday morning when they found themselves racing back to school gates as bombs began to fall across the country in a joint U.S.-Israel attack. At one elementary school, according to Iran state-controlled media, they arrived to find devastation. At least 100 children have been killed in the strike on Shahara. Look, the girls' school in Manab, I can't pronounce that, southern Iran. The Mizan news agency reported, with dozens more unaccounted for. In one video circulating on social media, purportedly, I'm guessing it's supposed to be reportedly, showing the immediate aftermath of the strike, smoke rising from the burnt out walls and debris lies spread across the road. Hundreds of onlookers gathered at the site, some in obvious distress. Screams can be heard in the background. The report of the bombing is death toll, and the video source could not immediately be independently verified by The Guardian. Persian fact-checking service Name was able to cross-reference the video with other photographs of the school site and concluded that the video was authentic. Renter said it had also verified the footage as being from the school. Hassan Kermanpour, spokesperson for Iran's health ministry, said in a post to X that the bomb of the school was the most bitter news of the conflict so far. God knows how many more children's bodies they will pull from under the rubble, which it gives a link. Let's see. I'm not on. It says, unfortunately, this is from, I'm guessing the same person. Unfortunately, the most bitter news since the beginning of the war occurred 12 days ago. An enemy missile hit a girls' elementary school in Manab. 60 young martyrs, 80 injured. See, at the time, it said 60 died. And this was at 7:19 this morning. And God knows how many more children will be pulled out from under the rubble. May God grant patience to their families. Let me go back. So it says, the school appears to be adjacent to a Revolutionary Guards barracks. If the death toll is confirmed, the school bombing would be the largest mass casualty event of the U.S.-led attack so far. Across the country, Iranians said they were feeling a mixture of terror and hope as the bombings continued. Some expressed relief that the long-expected strikes had arrived, and opponents of the regime spoke of hope that they might lead to political change, but both were tempered by fear that the attacks would bring more civilian deaths to a country already reeling from recent bloodshed. Nah, I didn't mean to do that. It says, in Tehran, some people sheltered in their homes while others rushed through gridlocked traffic to find their children as schools shut down. Many said they had been preparing for weeks for a possible war, stockpiling water and supplies. Amir, 37, owner of a bakery in Tehran, said he was relieved to hear the strikes appeared to have hit government buildings, but feared there would be collateral damage. My worry is that innocent people would be killed. He said Amir had family members injured in the Iranian regime's recent crackdown on nationwide protests and feared there was more bloodshed to come. We have endured so much grief. Despite that, we don't want to see the body bags on the streets due to U.S. and Israeli strikes, he said. So, which I'm not going to read the entire article. So yeah, but like I said, they fact checked it, and this is what has happened. Well, was one of the areas where it got targeted. From the article, from the sources, they're saying that it attacked or a bomb fell at a school, and over 100 children have reportedly been killed and counting, because they said it's dozens more unaccounted for. And destruction, well, first and foremost, something like this will not go overlooked, or this will not be excused by any other, the other nations, especially these, Iran, their allies, and even the allies of Babylon the Great, America. They're going to look at this and be like, we don't want nothing to do with this. This is unacceptable. Because that's what they said the first time, that they attacked Iran, and then they stole, they invaded Venezuela, and they was trying to take Greenland. They were like, man, this unacceptable, moving like this, and now something like this, especially if this come out, on the news that it's even more than just this, it's gonna be completely unacceptable. This is and it said, Trump says Iran Supreme Leader Khamenei is dead. It says President Trump on Saturday afternoon said Iranian Supreme Leader, which I can't pronounce that name, is dead following U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran that the White House intended to lead to regime change for Tehran. Trump said the longtime U.S. enemy was dead about an hour after multiple news outlets reported that U.S. and Israel believed he had been killed in the Israeli strikes on Saturday as part of the joint U.S.-Israel military operation against Iran. Now I said, Khamenei, one of the most evil people in history, is dead, Trump wrote in a Truth Social post. And it said, this is not only justice for the people of Iran, but for all great Americans and those people from many countries throughout the world that have been killed or mutilated by Khamenei and his gang of bloodthirsty thugs, Trump stated. And this is very hypocritical talk coming from Esau Edom, very hypocritical talk, but we know who this man is. So this is Revelation chapter 18, and I'm going to start at the top. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and it's become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Right? So Babylon the Great, you will find all manner of wickedness over here in this place. Anything that you could think of that's wicked, you're going to find over here in Babylon the Great, being practiced, being done by the people up top all the way to the smallest or the person at the very bottom. It says, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. So all the other nations have taken part in the immoral behavior and mentality mindsets the ideology, the doctrines of Babylon the Great. And these other nations have been led astray following her example, and done business with Babylon the Great. So now you can go to other countries and find out that the people over in other countries think and move like the American people. Not everyone, but you got people in the other countries that do. When they got their own culture and customs, but a lot of them choose to follow the Babylon, the American way, Western culture. And that's why they be having a lot of division in their own countries, because you got people and in these other nations trying to keep Western culture instead of keeping their original culture. That's why I said they are drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. I'll read that in the AMP. But all the nations have drunk from the wine of the passion of her sexual immorality. And the kings and political leaders of the earth have committed immorality with her. They done business, done deals, made agreements. And the merchants of the earth have become rich by the wealth and economic power of her sensual luxury. Just think about all these different things that got shipped, or products, merchandise that got shipped over here to Babylon the Great, imported, and these people have made money off the American people, because you'll go, especially when online shopping came, that made things even better. You can ship something from across the seas, from across the world, and have it sent over here from China, India, different location, parts of the earth, wherever it's being made. Verse 4, KJV. And I heard another voice saying, "Come out of her, my people." And it's talking to the elect, "that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues," meaning that you don't be judged when she gets judged. "For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High remembered her iniquities." Verse 5 AMP. "For her sins, crimes, transgressions have piled up as high as heaven, and the Most High has remembered her wickedness and crimes for judgment." And this is what the time we in now. It's time for this place to be judged. And that's why all these things are going on, because I mentioned earlier in the live video I made that we're approaching the point of no return. When I mean the point of no return, I mean we're approaching the time where the vision, as spoken of in Habakkuk chapter 2, will no longer tarry, and things will just rapidly speed up. It'll be one thing after another. Now they, as someday, they're gonna implement their new system, the MOTB, Revelations 13 and 16. They're gonna implement that system, and anybody who's not with that system, you're not gonna be able to survive unless you are of the elect, meaning you are of the hopeful. Well, you are of the elect. Yahweh Shem Yahushua is with you. Anybody outside of that, either you're going to take the MOTB and be destroyed, or you're going to try to live without the MOTB and still be destroyed, But anybody that's of the elect will be taken care of. They're going to trust in Yahweh Shem Yahushua no matter what. But this is the time of judgment, so that vision will no longer tarry. And right after the MOTB, then, when I mean right after the MOTB, the next major prophecy is, WW3 on a nuclear scale. And Yahweh shall return with the chariots to deliver the elect and destroy the wicked. Verse 6, this is the point. "Reward her even as she has rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. And the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double." And I'm reading the AMP. "Repay to her even as she has repaid others, and pay back to her double for her torment in accordance with what she has done. In the cup of sin and suffering which she mix a double portion of perfect justice for her." See, and this is not going, like I said, the things that Babylon the Great been doing, especially how much suffering they've caused all these other nations. Well, first and foremost, our people, but spiritual powers is coming for the elect. So Babylon, these Edomites, they gonna get theirs most definitely in the kingdom of heaven. That's when we gonna have our full reign to pay them back. But the Lord is gonna allow these other nations to bring this place down too, because Babylon the Great, America has caused so much pain and suffering to these other nations. Now the Lord is gonna allow these other nations to have get back, and it's not gonna be pretty. It's not gonna be nothing light. It's not gonna be like a Babylon do something like hit a school and then they just come back and hit like a satellite. I ain't gonna even say a satellite dish. I about to say they hit like a farm or something. They ain't gonna do something light. They gonna really bring the pain. They gonna really, like you say, reward unto her double. So it's gonna be on the same lines of the same scale or even worse, because this is the one place that hasn't been touched by foreign nations. But that's all about the change. Verse 7 in the AMP, to the degree that she glorified herself and revealed and gloated in her sensuality, living deliciously and luxuriously, because right now, even though that's going on over there in Iran, people finna go to sleep, or come home and relax, or still going out to the club over here in Babylon the Great, or going out in their day-to-day, wake up the next day, rest, relax, or go to work, everything is still going on normal over here, while those people are over there suffering. As we read in the article, they was relieved that the attacks had already passed, because they had deep anxiety that their country was finna be bombed. Just imagine knowing that one of the countries finna bomb over, one of the other countries finna bomb over here, and you don't know where it's gonna happen and when it's gonna happen. So you just got anxiety because it's coming. You don't want to go to sleep because you want to be alert and aware when it go down. That's how them people are living. They don't know when it's gonna happen and if it's gonna take them out, if they gonna live or if they gonna die, how they gonna protect their family. They just know that it's gonna go down. That's why they said in the article, they was relieved that it happened, but at the same time, they're not ready. They feel like innocent people are gonna get hit, and they're not ready to see bodies, bodies in the streets. They're not ready to hear suffering, people crying, and people in pain, and they can very well be one of them, or be one of the bodies. So like it said, to the degree that she glorified herself and reveled and gloated in her sensuality, living deliciously and luxuriously. That's how people live over here. Everything is all good. You still go to the gas station, go about your day, go out to eat, do whatever you want to do, and come back home and kick your feet up and chill. To that same degree, imposed on her torment and anguish and mourning and grief. For in her heart she boasts, I sit as a queen on the throne, and I am not a widow, and will never ever see mourning or experience grief. And that's how it is over here, from the top officials on down. Nobody expects anything from the other nations to ever devastate over here. Verse 8, for this reason, in a single day, her plagues, afflictions, calamities will come, pestilence and mourning and famine, and she will be burned up with fire and completely consumed. For strong and powerful is the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua, who judges her. So the Lord said in one day, it's going to be one day where all these things, everything changes. Life is going to change for the people over here in Babylon the Great. And then that day is going to come where she will be burned up with fire and completely consumed. 100% annihilation. Lord said that day is going to come, for all the wickedness that it has done across the four corners of the earth. but primarily what it has done unto his people, you know, to the nation of Israel. And I just read 9. It says, and the kings and political leaders of the earth who committed immorality and lived luxuriously with her will weep and beat their chests in mourning over her when they see the smoke of her burning. Because all these other nations, they gonna see the outcome of Babylon the Great. Ain't nothing ever happened like that. Complete and total 100% annihilation. You know, ain't nothing ever happened like that. A country to be completely wiped out off of the face of the earth. Meaning this place go from what you see now to a complete desert from the east coast to the west coast. You know, from the north to the south. Complete annihilation. Never has anything ever happened like that. These other nations gonna see that, they gonna be like, damn, you know, this place completely, it's really gone. You know, it's completely wiped out. There is no rebuilding that. You know, there is no reestablishing. There is no coming back from that. And that would mean everybody that's outside of the elect, because the elect is going to be delivered from such judgment. Anybody that's over here in Babylon the Great outside of the elect will be gone with it. You know, no other country has experienced that. But this is judgment from Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. So I just wanted to touch on that, just going into how something like that is not going to be overlooked or excused. That's the better word, excused, you know, especially if it continues to ramp up even worse. But we're going to continue to monitor this because, like I said, the point of no return is rapidly approaching. So that note, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. Until next time, shalom.